I said, they ain't ready for the LSU. No, they ain't ready for the LSU, huh? They ain't ready for the LSU. No, they ain't ready for the LSU. We the best in the league if you looking for talent. LSU going hard, but we beat Alabama, then we going out to Florida. Drown the Gators, everybody getting bucked when we step in the stadium. This the LSU anthem, you know it's a hit. You don't know another rapper two-step like this. See me screaming out the window, yelling purple and gold. I'm an LSU fan, girl, you know how we roll now. Back and back it on up. Hey, back and back it on up. Hey, back and back it on up. Hey, back and back it on up. Hey.
We are live. Welcome back into the Tigers Avenue here on a Monday edition following a W for the Tigers down in the plains of Auburn, Alabama. We're going to get into a recap, obviously, of the game and whatnot here in a little bit. Zach, tell me this. I mean, it's Monday night. Why do we have tacos on Monday night? It's supposed to be Taco Tuesday. Why would we not just flip the? It just ruins the week. I mean, I'm thrown for a loop now.
You had tacos tonight?
We had tacos tonight on a Monday. What are you doing? This man got Taco Bell. Oh, I mean, we had homemade tacos. But
yeah, I'm not that fancy. I DoorDash, so
I don't know if browning some ground beef in a pan and then having a little fixings on the side is that fancy either. But
well, yeah, I had two steak quesadillas and some of those like Cinnabon popper things. That was pretty good.
Yeah. So I feel like my equilibrium's thrown off just a little bit. I mean, I don't know why we did that, but anyways. How's the fantasy doing, Zach? How's the fantasy? I mean, I don't know about you, Zach, but I really love fantasy football, and fantasy football has gotten me so much more into NFL football than I used to. I mean, for all of our fans who don't know, excuse me, Zach and I never. Growing up, we didn't watch NFL football that much. I mean, we watched LSU on Saturday, and we went to church on Sunday morning. I mean, that's just how it went. And in the afternoons, if there was a game on, we would watch it. But we were never huge into the NFL. But now I watch every football game I possibly can on Saturdays and Sundays. I mean, that's just the reality of it. I mean, NFL, I have grown to love it over the past few years, and I can thank fantasy football for a lot of that. I mean, keeping up with fantasy football is a joy to me on Sundays. It's great. And I'll tell you what was really great is even though the Saints did not win, Chris Olave put up 17 points for me in my flex spot. So at 8:30 in the morning, I was kind of happy.
Yeah, it was an early game. It definitely was an early game. But yeah, I'm definitely disappointed that that New Orleans didn't win. They've really struggled to start the season, but Cincinnati's kind of bounced back.
Struggled.
Yeah, they've struggled mightily, but Cincinnati's bounced back, and I'm happy with that, obviously.
Absolutely.
Yeah, unless Brandon Ayuk decides to go off in the second half of this game, I think I'm safe to win tonight, and that'll be. I've only lost one game this season, and it was because Tyreek Hill had a really bad game. But unless Brandon Ayuk just decides to go off in the second half, I think I'll be okay. So yeah. I'm kind of hoping and praying. I'm like, let me see. I'm like 10 points. I'm 11 points up right now. I'm 11 points up right now.
No touchdowns. No touchdowns.
No touchdowns, Brandon Ayuk. Don't score a touchdown. 2-point conversion, fine. That's fine. Don't score a touchdown, please.
Yeah, I mean, look, I've already won my game, and I have Matthew Stafford playing tonight, so I'm just kind of like adding stats. I mean, I guess you could say, if adding points for like a tiebreaker for the top spot or whatever, Because your boy's pretty good at fantasy, so I'm kind of in the running for things. So all the extra points I can get, I'm down. I'm totally down. Although Matt Stafford hasn't been quite as good as he was last year so far in the season.
Yeah.
But I mean, it is what it is. Zach, I kind of wanted to go around the SEC for this past weekend, specifically Georgia.
Oh my God!
This is the second week in a row that Georgia has struggled. Yeah, I mean, I was gonna avoid struggled, but I think that's the right word. I mean, they've struggled. I mean, Kent State, they allowed 22 points. Mizzou, I mean, beat you for 3 quarters. I mean, straight up. I mean, I got to be honest. I didn't watch the Kent State game close by any means. Like I didn't
watch it all. I just saw that they were kind of struggling. I was like, oh, interesting.
Right. And so, but this past weekend, watching the LSU game, was happening at the same time.
The clicker.
You're kind of like watching the score, and I was like, okay, I got to turn this on. So I like get my phone out, and like as the LSU games, I'm just kind of keeping up on my phone with that game. But the Georgia Bulldogs pulled it off, but 26-22. Whoo! I mean, they're no longer the top team in the country now. If Zach, I don't know about you, but for me, I don't think they should have lost the top spot. I don't know if that was deserving. I mean, you won the game.
I would disagree because they've looked bad the last 2 weeks. It wasn't like they dropped them after last week. Like they could have dropped them after last week, struggling to Kent State and Alabama absolutely dominating Vanderbilt. But then they struggle again this week against a not great Missouri team, and Alabama dominates a ranked opponent in Arkansas.
Sure.
So I actually I understand that.
I get it. Yeah.
To follow up that, Reagan, is Missouri better than we were thinking?
No, Missouri is not. No.
Okay.
No, Missouri's not that good. I mean, they've lost to Auburn already. They got blown out by Kansas State. I mean, they played Abilene Christian probably closer than an SEC team should. So no, they're not that good. I mean, here's the reality of it. It's an SEC East matchup. It was a nighttime game in Columbia. Maybe a bit of looking ahead for Georgia. Kind of caught in a trap game. But I mean, they won, so they keep going on undefeated. But I mean, that's 2 weeks in a row now. They've kind of had a scare that for them, and I thought that was kind of interesting. Another big one for this week was the Ole Miss Kentucky game. And I've got to tell you, he got co-freshman of the week, but forgive me if I mispronounce this guy's name. I know his last name is Judkins, but it's like Quinshon Judkins.
Yeah, the running back.
He is the true freshman running back for Ole Miss.
He's good.
The dude is a stud.
Yeah, he's good. He's their best running back. I know you got Zach Evans and the other guy. But
he is their best running back. He is better than Zach Evans. He's better than Bentley.
I agree.
He rushed for over 100 yards and a touchdown. Did he have 2? No, I think he had 1 touchdown.
He had the long run. I know that.
Yeah, the one he broke loose. The one he broke loose for. Yeah, 1 touchdown. 106 and 1 touchdown. That dude is a stud. He is a problem. And that was a great game. I mean, just in general, our buddy Jesse got to go watch that game in person down in Oxford. Again, now I haven't said this on the show, but I have, kind of believed this the entire time. Will Levis is far overrated. I think he is a good quarterback, but the hype around Will Levis, like being like the third best quarterback in this draft, like potential, round one guy, I ain't seen it. Like,
well, he doesn't have an offensive line this year.
I mean, I get it, but last year
they're like arguably the worst offensive line in
sure, but I mean, last year they argued that Kentucky was one of the best offensive lines, and he had a good season, but it wasn't just like incredible. But he also had he had Wan'Dale Robinson to throw to last year, who broke the single season record for receiving for Kentucky. I don't know. I just don't know if the hype around Will Levis is warranted. I think there needs to be way more hype around Hendon Hooker, and I will say it here publicly on the show. I was wrong about Hendon Hooker. I wasn't bought in. I wanted to see some more with Hendon Hooker. The dude's proved himself. The dude is incredible. And honestly, he should be in the Heisman. I'm not saying he should be the Heisman winner at this point, but he should be in the Heisman talks. The dude is ridiculously good, and is not getting enough attention for what he's been doing for as much as like Will Levis has gotten. Because I mean, I can't remember who reported it. What's that dude's name? He's a big sports media guy. I can't remember his name. But I mean, he reported that there was like 6-7 different like NFL scouts there to watch Will Levis on Saturday. And he wasn't that impressive. Now, I mean, I know he dislocated his finger and, all that stuff.
Yeah, that was brutal. He like comes up and he's like,
yeah, that was
over here.
Yeah, watching that live, I was like, oh gosh, I mean, that was brutal. Of course, they went over there.
Popped this back into plays real quick.
Yeah, popped it back, taped it up.
It's supposed to be facing north and south, facing west.
I mean, thankfully for him, it wasn't the throwing hand, which was big. I mean, you think about. I think of like plays like where his receivers really made more of it than probably it was his throw, if that makes sense. Like he got the ball to them, but the receivers made more happen.
Yeah.
The kid, the other co-freshman of the week, Brown, Kentucky's receiver number 2. That dude's really good.
He's good, bro.
I mean, on special teams, he's a problem.
He almost housed it twice.
He should have housed it the one time, and his player literally tripped him up. Yes. I mean, there was nothing but green in front of him. He had beat everybody.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, honestly, they ended up not getting in the end zone there. So, I mean, that was huge. That was a huge moment in that game.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you think about, as an NFL scout, down there at the end of the game, Will Levis literally throws the go-ahead touchdown, but he didn't make sure that everyone was set.
Yeah.
And as a veteran quarterback, in a moment like that, in a hostile environment, big time game, he got too quick, and he rushed it and did not make sure everybody was set. And for me, I'm like, as a veteran guy like that, now like the third-year quarterback, you got to make sure everybody's set on that play. I mean, you literally took the lead with that.
That was a good game, man. It was, but Kentucky left a lot to be desired.
I mean, 100%.
They had the 2 PATs that were missed. They, of course, had the missed field goal that was very makeable. They had the kickoff return that should have been housed that wasn't, and it, like you said, ended up, they got nothing out of it.
Yep.
So yeah, like Kentucky, they left a lot to be desired on that field. I mean, I know Kentucky, Ole Miss, won, but Kentucky definitely easily could have won that game.
Yeah, and they should have. In my opinion, they should have. But Ole Miss, I will say their defense looks really good. It looks much more improved than what it had. I mean, the week before, their offense got blanked in the second half against Tulsa, and that was way closer of a game than it needed to be for Ole Miss.
Yeah.
So and earlier in the year, they didn't look very impressive, but their defensive front got a lot of pressure at the end, and ultimately won them the game with the strip sack there at the end. So was it the strip sack? They kind of batted it out of his hand as he was going to throw.
Yeah.
So I guess it is a strip sack. I mean, that was huge. They sealed the game. So I was impressed with their defense. I really was. I think their DBs is a problem for Ole Miss. It's not a strength by any means. Their defensive front is good though.
Yeah,
it's solid. Which, of course, I mean we're talking about the SEC. Defensive fronts are going to be great. Mississippi State, Zach. How about that? How much?
dude.
How good does that make LSU look?
Oh, it makes LSU look great. I mean, now you're looking at the Texas A&M game and going, "Oh shoot, we can win." Like, and we'll get into this, but LSU, there's a lot of teams that LSU is going to face where LSU's strength is another team's weakness. And that is going to keep, and I'll talk about this later, but that's going to keep LSU in a lot of ball games. It really is.
Yeah.
It showed against Auburn. It showed against Mississippi State. It showed against Florida State in the second half. And yeah, Texas A&M went out and they completely just dominated A&M's defense, which was, kind of surprising because everybody looked at A&M's defense was like, well, they can't score, but man, they got an awesome defense.
Not true.
Well,
bro, they're frauds. They are frauds.
They really are, man. Dude, they're about to go 3-3.
You talking about hot seat.
At the end of the season, like Jimbo's going to have a worse record than Kevin Sumlin did in the amount of time that Kevin Sumlin was there, which is crazy.
If it trends this way, yeah.
If it trends this way.
I mean, you're going to lose to Bama this weekend.
You're about to lose to Bama. It's in
Tuscaloosa. Ain't happening.
Yeah, because, I mean, look what Bama did. Bama had Bryce Young go down and dominated Arkansas in the fourth quarter. Now, Arkansas looked good.
They made it close for a minute. Yeah.
They made it close for a little bit. And everybody kind of like flipped the channel. I was like, oh, shoot. And then as soon as everybody flipped the channel, the backup quarterback for Alabama went off. And, Amari Gibbs busted a 75-yarder. And the rest was history. So, it seems like things have shifted a little bit more towards what we kind of expected, at least in the West. Maybe not so much for A&M, but it seems very evident that Alabama is the top dog in the West, and you're going to have to go through them. I know we've had a couple of weeks early on where it was like, maybe the West is pretty wide open, but after these last 2 weeks, man, it looks like Alabama's got it locked up pretty well. And I know saying that sounds like, well, duh, but I mean, I think considering the week 2 and week 3 performances by Alabama, you were going, maybe Alabama is as great as they are. And then sure enough, they got whipped into shape. And they look pretty good. They look pretty good. Looks like there's nobody that's going to stop them.
Yeah. I mean,
Arkansas's got a really bad defense, though. Arkansas's got a really bad defense.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you right now yes, Bama's probably the favorite to win the West now. I mean, now that everything's started to play out 100%, they're the favorite to win it. But it ain't – I feel like I hate to say this because it's freaking Alabama. But it just doesn't feel like the Bama that you're used to seeing, like complete dominance with everything.
Yeah.
I mean, they found their receivers this weekend. I mean they did. That Isaiah Bond kid, Prentice, whoever he is, but like the guys you expected to be their dudes, that dude that transferred from Louisville, who is he?
Jermaine Burton also.
Jermaine Burton, like they're not there.
Yeah.
And the receivers were concerned for Alabama for a few weeks. So, I mean, hopefully, well, not hopefully. We hope they don't. But, I mean, they want to keep doing what they did this past weekend with the receivers because it's been lacking. But look, going back to Mississippi State, LSU held Will Rogers to 214 yards passing on 24 passes with only 6 more passes. So 31, or excuse me, 7 more passes. A&M allowed 329 yards receiving.
Wow.
7 more. Just 7 more passes. 3 touchdowns. Yeah, A&M's a fraud. And I think that this state win looks so much better for LSU now. And also, I want to talk about for a second, why in the absolute world is Mississippi State ranked higher than LSU? I get it. I get it.
Because they played a ranked.
It was a ranked opponent, but I think everybody who has common sense can realize that A&M ain't what they expected.
Yeah.
Like, they're frauds. So for them to go and dominate A&M the way they did after literally A&M lost to Appalachian State, like, are we forgetting that? Are we forgetting that? To put State then above LSU after LSU beat them by 15 points, for me, it's kind of ridiculous.
For me, though, I don't think either team should be rated right now, to be honest with you.
Sure.
The only reason I think both teams got rated was because of the crazy amount of losses, like we've talked about.
There were 10.
10 losses there's a lot of losses in the lower half of the top 25. Or should I say upper half? From 15 to 25, there was a lot of losses. So, that's probably a big reason why LSU and State got ranked, and both of them barely got ranked. But I have to agree with you. I don't really understand why State would be ranked higher than LSU, even with the win over Texas A&M. They played them at home. LSU played State at home. So, and State beat the brakes off of A&M. So, and like you said, LSU beat State straight up by 15 points. So that's kind of confusing to me. But I don't think it matters, honestly, Reagan. It really doesn't matter because the rest of the season is going to play out. And LSU's got to get some work done on this weekend against a very tough, stiff Tennessee team, which we'll talk about that Friday. But I think you just let it play out.
Absolutely. All right, what's up, Tyler Townsend? Good to see you in here. Appreciate you hopping in, man. Really appreciate that. Bobby Watts, nice hat, Zach.
Yeah,
well, of course. Of course.
My place of work, my place of labor.
So, Zach, let's get into the game. We've kind of gone through the SEC and talked about our fantasy and whatnot. So let's get into the game. Man, it was a lot closer than you wanted it to be. It was far closer than you wanted it to be.
Let me tell y'all something. To interrupt you, Reagan. Whenever Reagan's not replying to me during a game, I know he's frustrated.
Yeah.
And he wasn't replying to me in the game. He didn't reply to me at all during the game.
Did I not?
Not once.
Did you oh, my bad.
Yeah.
Well,
it's all good. I was frustrated too.
Well, the reality is, here's why I probably didn't reply to you. Is because I start getting other texts and I set my phone away because I don't want to see other texts.
Yeah.
And so I miss yours. So that's probably what's happening.
Come on, with blood, man. Come on, bro.
Well, yeah. Anyways, it was far closer than it needed to be. We both predicted and we were wrong. Everybody predicted. Hey, this is going to be a huge game. Probably a blowout for LSU. They're in shambles. This is Robbie Ashford's whatever. They're on their third center now. Brian Harson's out the door. But in true LSU versus Auburn fashion,
Yeah.
it was a very
It got
LSU
crazy.
Auburn-esque game. I mean, it was exactly what we should have expected out of an LSU Auburn game. I don't know why we tried to sell ourselves that it was just going to be this route when historically it does not matter who's good, who's not good, who's whatever. This is a game that is always close. I mean, 2019, you dominate just about everybody you play, and Auburn comes into LSU, into Death Valley, your own stadium, and makes it a very close game. So yeah, I mean, it was an LSU Auburn game. You go down 17. You show heart, you show grit, you show fight, you don't tap out, which has been talked about a lot with Brian Kelly and in his presser. You know, this is a quality that this team has. They're not going to give up. They're going to fight.
Yeah.
And it's a great quality to have as a team. It is. I mean, you don't want a team who's just going to lay down and die. And it's really good to see a team that really fights and doesn't gives up, especially with the last two seasons and how it has been when teams did give up. There were games when your team did just lay down and die. You get punched in the mouth hard, and you come out and you keep fighting and you find a way. Zach, I mean, what were your initial thoughts and takeaways for this game? And then maybe we can get into somewhat of a recap of the game, kind of chronologically.
Yeah, and we'll also discuss at the end, some big concerns moving forward because I think there is some.
Sure.
There's always positives, as Reagan mentioned. Their grit to fight back. I mean, you were down 17-0,
In Jordan here.
and in Jordan Hare, and you could get nothing going offensively. And there's a lot that we'll talk about of why and some big concerns because of that, at the end of the show. But, I know that a lot of people are going to maybe disagree with me or be like, nah. But I truly believe that some part of the slow start was aided by the injury.
I was absolutely going to say that. I 100% agree.
Like
100%.
Think about the emotions that you have coming into a football game, especially a game like that, and on the road. Like the boys are hyped. They're hyped up. Let's go. Like they're ready to roll. They're ready to go and go down the field and punch somebody in the mouth and start out the game strong. And I mean, you see it all the time at the beginning of football games. You see guys go down there, they make the tackle on the kickoff, and they're just like, woo, let's go. They're getting up, jumping around. It's hype. And to start the game off, you have what looks like a major injury. Now, thank goodness, it turned out he was okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
And nothing crazy or serious majorly, but, you have a really scary moment there with Seven Banks, and they have to take his face mask off, and they have to bring out the cart, and they have to bring out the stretcher, and you don't really see him moving, and it's a really scary moment. That completely drains your emotions.
I mean, the stadium went silent.
And how stupid was that of a call to call targeting? It's not even targeting.
Dude hit him in the hip.
He hit him in the hip. The rule is literally a lunge towards the head or neck area.
With the crown of your helmet, yeah.
With the crown of your helmet. You're telling me that the man's hip is targeting because that's his neck to head area? It's not. The hip is not his neck head. That's way far off. Now, did he lead with the helmet? Yes, he did. And that's what caused the injury. And that's why coaches are coaching players to keep your head up when you tackle. Keep your head up. So, yes, he led with the crown of his helmet, but he hit him in the deadgum side of the hip. Like, he didn't even spear towards the what is the targeting call, head or neck area. Like, it was, I mean, and even the Auburn fans were booing. Even the Auburn fans were absolutely just.
It was
booing
indecent. It was indecent.
Indecent. It was. I mean, it was a wrong call. It was a wrong call. Not only was it indecent that they made that call, but it was the wrong call. It wasn't even targeting. Because I don't know about you, Reagan, but I'm pretty sure the definition of targeting is leading by the crown of the helmet in a spearing way towards the head or neck area of the other player, and he hit him in the side of the hip.
I mean, I don't
viewers,
see.
Tell us if it's different.
If you say you are targeting someone, you like the whole name is the point of the call, right? Like you are targeting their, to hurt, like, in a malicious intent way, which it may not end up being malicious, but targeting is that, you are targeting with the crown of your helmet to an area that is dangerous. You hit his hip. Like, somebody's hip gets hit every single play in a football game.
Bad call.
So if the rule has been adjusted to where it's just leading with the crown of the helmet, regardless of where you hit him, I think that's a bad addition, a bad change to the rule. Yeah, right. But I 100% agree. 100% agree.
And that I think that played a major factor.
It drained it. I mean,
here's another factor that people will be like, I don't know about that, but I'm like, when I saw it, I was like, oh shoot, it was Robbie Ashford's 20th birthday.
Right.
Like, of course the dudes want to go out there and win on his birthday and play an insane game, and sure enough, he did. He played a good game until obviously the second half, the defense just made adjustments and dominated. But I mean, I fully believe that was a factor. Dude, you can't tell me that you don't have some more motivation on your birthday or a really important day in your life. Like when you're doing anything, like you're gonna have more motivation than you typically do. And that was evident. Like the Robbie Ashford we saw in the first half was not the Robbie Ashford that we saw at all
in other games,
at any other point in the season, in this season. So I think that played a factor. Obviously LSU being in their first, this LSU team and this coaching staff having all of that having to come together and being in their first true SEC road game. And, I got to be honest, I underestimated Jordan Hare. I thought it'd be a little down.
It was jumping, bro.
I thought it would be a little down because of the situation that's going on at Auburn with Brian Harsin and it all unfolding and falling apart. But, dude, they had it packed out and jumping.
Yeah.
So, like, all those factors, I think, played a part in the result that you had in the first half. Now, I'm not saying that, that was the main thing because LSU also shot itself in the foot a lot in the first half. I mean, there was constant penalties. You had 4 special teams penalties in the first half alone that were just egregious. You had drops in the first half that killed drives. I mean, you had a lot of mistakes. And what was one of our keys to success, Reagan, that we mentioned on Friday? One of the things that I mentioned, don't shoot yourself in the foot. Yeah. Don't shoot yourself in the foot because the only way that this is going to be a game is if you shoot yourself in the foot. And they shot themselves in the foot a lot in the first half. A lot. And kudos to LSU for making adjustments and cleaning up some of that in the second half and completely dominating the second half. I just got to say this, the defense, I know I think it was the state game. I said, I think what won you the game was the decision to go tempo the entire second half. And I know we argued about that in the defense. This game was literally the defense. It was the defense. Because the offense was almost non-existent other than a couple of big plays. The pass to John Emery to get yourself in a great position to score a touchdown there. When they finally decided to kind of stick to the running game a little bit more, and you had the John Emery touchdown that he ran in, which that was a big frustration. I want to talk about that later. But if you don't score the defensive touchdown, you lose. You lose. But the defense played so well in the late second through the entire rest of the second half, late second quarter, second half. They stopped the bleeding. They really did.
Yeah.
They stopped the bleeding. I mean, it was.
I mean, you blanked them. You blanked them in the second half.
LSU in the last 3 games have only allowed 3 points in the second half. That's crazy. They shut out New Mexico. They allowed
14 straight possessions.
And no points allowed in the second half versus Auburn. The defense won this game. They kept you in the game, and they won you this game, period.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the defense continues to be you're constant. Now, I mean, they didn't have their best game. I mean, they didn't have their best game, but they still played great. I mean, they probably allowed too many passing yards. I mean, there was too many passing yards allowed. I mean, it was over 300 for a guy who has not looked good. For the most part, I think they held the running game in check. I mean, guys like Bigsby and Hunter. Now, Hunter was really good in the passing game for Arkansas, which played into those yardage, allowing too many yards in the passing game. But you had 3 turnovers defensively, and you had 1 in special teams with the muff punt. So, yeah, your defense won you this game. They kept you in it. You get punched in the mouth really early, and then they just put up a stone wall. It seems like after they got down. I mean, they gave you the life that you needed. You needed something really bad. I mean, you were dead in the water. Nothing was going right for you.
Yeah.
Your offense had done absolutely nothing. And the play by B.J. Ojulari, oh my goodness. I mean, what a brilliant play. I mean, that was an effort play. Brian Kelly described it today in his press conference as a captain's play. He didn't give up on the play. He pursued him with complete 110% effort. And as soon as Robbie Ashford stopped to try and set his feet and throw, BJ made the play, strip sack. The ball bounced your way right into Jay Ward's hands.
Perfect.
And there was nothing but green in front of him. I mean, that was a brilliant play by BJ, and BJ continues to be incredible. I mean, you just gotta guys on the guys on the defense continue to be awesome. Jay Ward, BJ Ojulari, golly, Harold Perkins. Oh my goodness. Micah Baskerville and Greg Brooks. Continue. Oh, and Micaiah Garner. Dude, Micaiah Garner is like the highest rated DB in the SEC right now by Pro Football Focus.
Pretty crazy.
His grading is the highest. And dude, what a lick he laid on that guy coming off that screen. He read it great. He got off his block, and boy, he laid the
shouldered him and laid him down. Go to sleep.
Yeah, great tackle. And kind of a momentum boost. It was similar to that Greg Brooks tackle against Mississippi State.
Yeah.
But man, I mean, your defense continues to be awesome. I mean, they just continue to be awesome. You take the lead, and then I can't remember if this was. I think it was the fourth quarter. It was fourth quarter. They're driving and they get to the red zone. And then they try to run that stupid trick play with Coy Moore, who just who just throws it up there. Harold Perkins, he's right there. Micah Baskerville,
he went up to get it.
Yeah, he went up and got it. Micah Baskerville calls the pressure on Coy. I mean, he was moving swiftly at Coy, caused him to panic, and just toss it. And Harold Perkins went up and got the ball. It was awesome. It really was. And then, of course, the final turnover by Greg Brooks was timed, executed absolutely perfully. Best tackle goes to Ashford on the INT return. Right.
Dude,
He
clocked
laid.
him.
Yeah, he did.
He clocked him because, dude, if Ashford doesn't make the effort to make that tackle, Greg Brooks houses it, and it's a second touchdown for the defense.
Yeah, 100%. I thought he was about to take it to the house.
Oh,
I thought he was.
I did too. I didn't think Ashford was going to come out of nowhere and just clock him.
Yeah, but he did. But that play, anticipating the ball, knowing the route. I don't know if you caught this or not. I think it was maybe there was the press conference today, or maybe it was a post game press conference. I can't remember. But Brian Kelly told Matt House told Brian Kelly.
Yeah,
he was like, "Hey, he's about to get it right here.
He's about to get this one."
They had run, kind of the same concept, same play, and Greg Brooks knew the route concept and had seen it, and he had attempted to do it earlier, but was just shy of getting it. They set up the robber coverage, and he makes, times it. He was waiting on
and
it.
He took the ball,
made it happen. Just took. And of course, with our opening, edit there, graphic there at the beginning, it was a very Tyrann Mathieu esque play. Just running up, taking the ball from him like that, and of course, Coy Moore involved in his second turnover of the night. Thank you.
Gotta love it.
You got to know better, bro. You got to know better as an SEC football player that you just don't go out there and make claims like that.
Keep your mouth
before
shut.
A game. And boy, he ate those words. He did. You throw a pick, you get stripped or intercepted, whichever you call it. Yeah. It being involved in 2 turnovers after making that statement was not a good look for Coy at all. Of course, as Tiger fans, you love it. He
gave them the game. They were inside the 15, was it? On the pick that he threw, and they were inside, I think, the 35.
The line,
or maybe it was a little bit shorter. I don't remember.
Yeah, they had just
crossed the 50.
See, it was so all LSU Auburn-esque because you get the muff punt and you're like, oh, we're about to ice the game.
We're done. It's over.
And then Brian Kelly in his press conference today tells you that there was a miscommunication on the play with the offensive line, and apparently like one part of the offensive line was going left, one was going right. Somebody pulled when they shouldn't have, which caused like this jumbled mess that made it very difficult for John Emery. And in the mix of the mess, the ball jars loose, and you're like, crap. Well, now you gotta get another stop, and then Greg Brooks comes with the turnover. It was 1, 2, 3, just like that, and you're like, gosh, this is nuts. It's just another. Wild. It is just another wild game for LSU and Auburn, closer than it needed to be, but probably as close as we should have expected it to be. With this type of series,
there at before the muff point, I definitely was in the mindset of crap. They're about to have the perfect opportunity here, Auburn, that being Auburn, to drain a lot of clock.
Yeah,
go down the field on a tired offense and try and win the game, and they did that after the muff punt. The defense was tired. They had been holding all night. It shut them out the entire second half. Of course, they were tired, and they were going to give up a little bit, and that's exactly what they did. But Greg Brooks saved the day.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was an awesome play. And to talk about the offense a little bit, I know it was dead in the water, and there's a lot of concerns with the offense. I'm not going to say many good things about the offense, but I really liked the play call for Jaden Daniels on the second touchdown before the half.
Yeah.
Again, I mean, the read was perfect. I mean, it may have been a designed that way. I'm pretty sure it was, but I'm pretty sure it was a read option type thing where he either hands it off or pulls it. It was perfect. I mean, the entire line is expecting you to hand the ball off. They split a tight end out, and so the whole line converges. The end guy goes out.
Yep.
You know, it's taken away with the tight end to make sure you don't dump it off, and he trotted it in. It was a great play call. And how about John Emery's run? I mean, the pass was
breaks
great.
A tackle, breaks the face mask, breaks another tackle, then trots in.
I mean,
on the high step.
The pass to set it up that pass was to set up Jaden Daniels.
That was first touchdown. Yeah,
that was the
still
first
John
offensive
Emery
touchdown.
had a heck of a game, bro. An amazing game.
John Emery played well. I will also say Josh Williams played well. The dude runs hard, very reliable, extremely reliable. I mean, when you needed something, Josh Williams went out there and did it.
When he got you the down to ice the game,
to seal the game,
on
Josh
Williams. Long. I mean, how nerve-wracking was that Reagan going
3rd and 3?
We have to pick up this 3rd and 3, and it's a long 3rd and 3, and every single person in the building knows you're running the ball, and Josh Williams goes and gets it.
You just you asserted your will, and you got the first down. Now, I mean, look, we were in their territory. If you don't pick it up and it's 4th and 4th and inches, I'm going for it to seal the game. But Josh Williams, without question, goes out there and gets the job done and seals the game for you. But man, that run was incredible. I mean, to shed that linebacker the way he did, it looked like it was about to be just a stuffed run.
Yeah.
Sheds the linebacker, takes the face mask, and yes, he high-stepped it in the end zone. It was awesome. I'm glad he didn't get penalized.
I was about to say, I was surprised.
I'm glad he didn't get penalized for it. But I mean, you got in the moment, you got to love it for the guy. I mean, it was a heck of a run. And I was happy for him. But look, overall, offensively, it was not great at all. Not great. Your run game was solid. Your passing game was horrendous. This game, it was inexcusable. You sealed the game though with Garrett. We didn't even mention this, Zach. You sealed the game with Garrett Nussmeier in for like majority of the fourth quarter.
Yep.
Hats off, for the team to have resolve even when Jaden goes out. You sealed the deal, and Jaden went supposedly. I think I heard this correctly, but it was Brian Kelly's decision to pull Jaden. Like, he could have gone back in. He was having a lot of pain with his knee. Wasn't, able to function like he normally would within the offense. Felt like he was kind of holding the offense back. Brian Kelly makes the decision to pull him and send Garrett out there. And look, you get the job done. You got the job done. So even though it was closer than you want it to be, it was not clean by any stretch of the imagination. Your defense, got you stop after stop, turnover after turnover, scored you a touchdown. You stayed within it enough. The offense did just enough to get you a dub on the road in the Plains, which is big regardless of how they look. I mean, it's a win's a win.
Just looked it up. A lot of people didn't think it was that long. Garrett actually came in with like almost 12 minutes left in the fourth quarter.
It was a long time.
Yeah, like he played basically the entire fourth quarter because Auburn had the ball before that. Let's see. Yeah, I think he did play the entire fourth quarter. LSU scored in the third quarter with 3 minutes. Let's see. Yeah, Auburn scored in the third quarter LSU scored in the third quarter with 3 minutes and 32 seconds left. Auburn got the ball back, and the very first possession LSU has in the fourth quarter is Garrett Nussmeier. Garrett Nussmeier finished the game the entire fourth quarter. So people are like, oh yeah, Garrett came in and he kind of closed out the last two drives.
It was
No,
long.
he played 1, 2, 3, 4 drives. And ended.
I mean, it wasn't great.
Fourth quarter.
It wasn't great, but your team held on to the lead and did what they needed to do.
Yes,
even with that adversity. So, still great. I mean, it's a good win. It's a good win. It wasn't clean by any means. You have to execute better, but you got the win. All right, Zach, we need to hit a quick break, and then we will come back right after this, and we will wrap the show up with our final segment on our concerns. So we'll see you right after this.
5-Star Hero, your intro and outro music for the Tigers Avenue show. They ain't ready for that LSU. Go check out all his other music on all the major platforms. Don't forget to follow him on Instagram at Saints Anthem and at Twitter at One Nation Doty. Don't forget to check out his Facebook page for all his Saints and LSU merchandise. 5-Star Hero. Can't get any better than Sarah Klein Stevens, attorney at law. Her firm focuses on the needs of the elderly and maintaining their dignity throughout the process. Here for you, here for your family. Sarah Klein Stevens, attorney at law.
All right, right back at it here for our final segment, our biggest concerns for the game. Zach, what are your concerns?
The slow starts are obviously a concern because it has become a pattern.
Yeah.
The only game that they didn't have a slow start was against Southern. And a lot of that was due to the fact that you had some fumbles and Southern was really, really bad. But against Florida State, slow start. Against Mississippi State, slow start. Against New Mexico, slow start. Against Auburn, slow start. Now, it's already hurt you in one game, but in 3 games, you've been able to get past it. You've been able to be okay. Now that you're getting into the thick of SEC play, you can't continue to do that. You have to play a full 60-minute game and dominate both halves. You have to. You cannot continue to rely on the defense to hang on for you in the second half of a football game. I mean, it's been awesome to watch them do that because they've been holding it down for the LSU offense to be able to get going in the second half when defenses are typically at their worst and they wear down. So you have got to do better at starting fast and helping the defense out in the second half. Because it's going to come back to bite you in the butt. It already did in the first game. It will for sure do it again if you continue to play like that in the SEC. My other biggest concern, I am worried about the passing game. We have really good receivers, and we are just not. I contribute to a lot of things. I think Jaden definitely has to make some better plays. He's got to take some risk. Now, he has played perfect, not turning the ball over, but I think him being so risk advert. Like he is so focused on not turning the ball over that it is actually hurting him in a sense. Yeah. It's not a bad thing because LSU isn't turning the ball over, but you are not able to get the offense going. Yeah. LSU's got to do a better job of getting Jack Besh involved. I know we've mentioned that, but Mason Taylor, I think Mason Taylor's going to be a great player. He shined in the Florida State game, but he's young. And with a quarterback that has troubles in the short to intermediate passing game, like Jaden, We need somebody out there that can make the catches, that can make the tough catches. And Mason's just not making those catches right now. He's just not. They're catchable balls for sure. But I think somebody like Jack Besh in his position would be able to help out the quarterback a lot more so than Mason Taylor as a true freshman is right now. I'm not saying that Mason Taylor is a bad player. I'm not saying that he won't eventually be a great player in that position. But I think right now with the personnel that you have at quarterback, you need somebody. And you heard Brian Kelly talk about it to the wide receivers at halftime. They mentioned it after the break, that their receivers have to help out the quarterback because they were dropping the ball a lot. And that is another big concern. It's a big concern because you haven't seen that a whole lot these past few weeks, but you saw it a lot in the Auburn game and at very crucial moments in third downs.
Yep.
In second and longs when you needed to get a little bit of something and to make it third and manageable, and you just don't catch the ball. The receivers got to do a better job at bringing in the ball before the run, bringing in the catch before the run, and helping JD out because he had at least 6 to 8 balls that were dropped. I know he went 8 for 11. He didn't pass, or what was 8 for 20? I'm sorry. He went 8 for 20. He didn't, JD didn't look good. He wasn't at his best as well, which is concerning. But the receivers have got to help him out. I don't put a whole lot of blame on JD like a lot of these fans are doing because, I mean, it should be obvious. Like, did you not watch the game that I watched where they dropped it multiple times on crucial downs? Like,
yep,
that was very, very disheartening to watch on Saturday night. And so they have got to get that cleaned up. I think it would be smart of Denbrock. I think Denbrock has called the offense pretty well. But I think, he could probably do a little bit better with the personnel that he has and getting them involved. I mean, Kayshon Boutte was only targeted twice, maybe.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
You
2-3 times, maybe.
You can't not target Kayshon. You can't target Kayshon only twice in a ball game. Like, I know they did the end around and it ended up getting called back because of the penalty, but you got to target him. That's 3 times. That's like maybe 3 times. I know he had the one short catch. He had the drop, which is on him. I mean, that's on him. But you got to target. You got to get more vertical with this. There's too much of these little short 3-yard, 5-yard out routes.
Yeah.
And I get those. That's kind of a branch off of your running game because your running game hasn't looked great. But Reagan, the running game, I know we're talking about biggest concerns, but the running game looked great.
Yeah, it was
looked
your
great this week. And I really
you had like 6 yards of carry.
Yeah,
like 6 yards of carry.
And there was times in the game where I was like, "Why are we going away from this?" Like, and so I said that to lead to this point. That's concerning. Like, as an offensive play caller, in my head, and look, I'm just a couch fan, right? I'm just a couch coach, but like, you were gashing them. You were gashing them.
Run the ball.
Keep running it until they respect it and until they call it. And then when that happens, when they start respecting it, then you go over the top with it.
Play action.
But they were like running the ball on first down, gash them, and on second, and then like on second down or third down, when you had third and manageable, they were or third and short, they were passing it. And I was like, or on second and manageable, you're passing it. Like, run the ball again. You just gash them for 6 yards. Like, maybe you run the ball again this time and you get 4 yards, 3 yards, but it makes it even more manageable for the offense. And the playbook opens up drastically when you have third and short, third and manageable. But there was too many times where I saw them drop back on 1st and 10 or 2nd and 10. And I was after you saw what they were doing on the run game, and that confused me. I don't understand why you go away from something that is very obviously working. So that frustrated me. I think that's an offensive coordinator thing that Denbrock has to maybe adjust a little bit. Now, again, I'm just a coach. I'm just a couch coach, whatever you want to call me. But it just seems like common sense. Like, if you're gassing them for 6 yards, run that thing. Like,
Yeah.
You don't need to step back. You don't have to worry about receivers dropping balls. You don't have to worry about Jaden being inaccurate or him throwing an interception or him having to scramble or him getting sacked. If you're gashing them on first, second, and third down with the run. So keep with it. Keep with it. That's a lot of my concerns. I know you have some, so I'll shut up and let you go. But those are some things that, I'm like, if LSU doesn't get those corrected, like on Saturday, they'll get their butts kicked. If they
100%.
can't correct, but it's completely fixable things, And I mentioned this earlier, but it's good. I'm gonna save this for Friday. I'll save that for Friday. But yeah, you've got to correct those things, or you're going to get killed on Saturday.
Yeah, well, I mean, your concerns are my concerns. The passing game was inexcusable this past week, and I think Brian Kelly hit it on the head. He was like, "Hey, it's a little on Jaden, it's a little on receivers, and it's a little on the coaches here. We got to do a better job of calling the right play to get these playmakers in the hands. Jaden has got to rip the thing. Like he's got to quit, being paralysis by analysis is what he keeps saying. He literally said in his thing today, hey, he ain't thrown any interceptions, but I'm okay if he throws an interception or two if he's, trying to, get it in some tight windows, make some plays, put it in the playmaker's hands, let it happen.
Do we not remember 4th and 3 versus State?
Right. You have too much talent at the receiver position to not be letting it to not let it fly, dude. I mean, you almost have the complete opposite problem, right? Like Jaden's kind of like really protecting the ball, maybe a little bit too much. And then with like Nussmeier, it's like, hey, whoa, like, pump the brakes.
Protect the ball a little bit.
Take care of the ball. But yeah, man, he's just got to go out there and he's got to start letting it fly some. I mean, you can't overdo it, but I mean, try to get it in some windows, man. Don't overthink it too much. And I think there was some of that this week. And obviously there were some drops. There were some balls that hit guys straight in the hands and they just dropped it. It may have been a little bit behind them, but dude, it hit you in the hands. I didn't like that there was like, I'm okay with it, but it's like, why are you featuring plays for Mason Taylor and not other guys? Like, if you want to get the passing game going, like yes, you can do some of those plays, but not. It was like it was the only guy.
Yeah,
it was the only one. Like, do this with Kayshawn,
and he was failing.
Like, if Kayshawn's getting doubled every single time out there in the Y, move him into the slot. Do something different with him. Make defenses change. You got to mix it up somehow so the passing game get going. You got to catch the balls that are catchable and hit you in the hands. And Jaden, I think, has to let it go a little bit more. Those are my concerns. You got to get started faster. If you don't do those things this weekend, if you don't execute better this weekend, you're going to get beat. And you're probably going to get beat straight up. So we're on the same page with our concerns. All right, guys, we appreciate all of you who have been commenting and interacting. I think we got a few comments here. Ask the Lees.
First off, bro, it's tell me TA. It's
tell me TA.
Hashtag
ask the Lees.
Tell me TA. We don't do Ask the. There's too many. We got too many podcasts that do hashtag Ask the or ask somebody. Tell me something good. Tell me TA. That's the way you got to ask us. But he says, let's fix it for him. He says, tell me, TA, should we try starting a QB at the QB position this week? I understand your frustration, Simper. I really do.
But Jaden's your best path to success.
But Jaden is your best path to success. I understand that him protecting the ball is hurting him, but I would much rather somebody protect the ball.
I will do better.
and win you ball games with his feet than Nuss go out there and just heave it up and turn the ball over and not even give your offense a chance. he turned the ball over twice against the worst team this team has played this season. He turned over twice, and they were bad turnovers. Like, no need, not necessary at all. And the throws that he made, but yet he was trying to do too much, and that's what happened. Now, I will say Garrett seemed a lot more mature and poised against Auburn. It seemed like he was doing what he needed to do in order to keep LSU in that ball game and just game manage. So I appreciated seeing that from Garrett Nussmeier. That's very encouraging. I hope we see more of that moving forward for sure. Because I think me and you can both agree that Garrett probably has an edge as a passer a little bit more than Jaden does. I think me and you can both agree on that. But Jaden right now is your best path to winning football games, and that's what this team's trying to do. He's got to be,
and also he's coachable. Like the holding the ball too long because you're worried about making a mistake. That's coachable.
That's coachable,
right? Like that's not a like you're just not physically able to make the throw. You're not athletic enough to do this or that. The dude's an athlete, and the dude can make the throw. You just got to coach him and watch the film. Hey, this is a place where you can make this throw. You need to be looking at this and this. It's coachable stuff. Walker, yeah, he's taking the red shirt. He's going to take his red shirt this year. I mean, that's kind of been a known thing.
Yeah, and that's his decision. I mean, I think,
and his parents. Yeah,
I think if best case scenario, I mean, yeah, Walker probably the starter. I mean, let's be honest. He probably, because he's the best quarterback in the room. But he himself, Brian Kelly, I mean, we just have to accept, even though he is the best quarterback in the room, in the QB room, we just have to accept that they want him to sit a year and develop and learn the playbook, which is good. I mean, think about how awesome it's going to be for him to sit an entire year under Brian Kelly, Mike Denbrock, and those older more veteran QBs. I know they're not the ceiling for them may not be as high as it is for Walker, but getting some of the experience that he doesn't have and learning from some of that experience and wisdom, and getting a full season off season to learn the playbook. I mean, that is going to do dividends for LSU. So I understand your frustration. I definitely do. But we're going to have to accept that the QB situation is what it is.
I'll answer his last comment there, and then we'll have to wrap up. He says, "Are we better in the long run getting through the bumps with Nuss versus one-dimensional JD?" I mean, I'm not trying to be ugly or anything, but like I disagree that Jaden's one-dimensional. I mean, the dude threw for over 200 yards in the Mississippi State game. Threw for over 60% in that game.
He didn't play an entire quarter this game.
And ran
an entire quarter this game.
And ran for over 100 yards. I mean, he put up 300 yards on his own of offense, 200 of it through the air, 100 of it through on the ground. And he's been efficient in the passing game except for this game. It has not been a deep threat. There hadn't been a long vertical threat. But the dude hadn't been terrible in the passing game. But Nussmeier, the bumps are too much of a risk, too much of a liability right now.
Do you trust Brian Kelly? That's the question. Do you trust
Jaden is a guy who started a lot of games in Power 5. He has a poise. He has a demeanor. He is a leader. And it's his game. I mean, we're not going to make a change at quarterback this year. I mean, that's just what it is. The turnovers is too much with Nussmeier. And I mean, just the sample size of what you've seen from Nussmeier from last year when he played against Arkansas, he threw 2 picks. He threw 2 picks again against Southern this year. I mean, he's very turnover prone, and it's you just can't do it. I mean, you can't give a guy who is so turnover prone the ball and the keys to the offense
in a season where these games are going to – a lot of these games are coin flip games that are going to be decided by, maybe a touchdown or less.
You go with the guy who has experience, and you go with the guy who also protects the ball. So, anyways, we do appreciate your input though, and your thoughts there. I mean, obviously, Jaden is not perfect. We know that. It's got to get better, and I think it will. I mean, throughout the season, he's going to begin to trust these receivers more.
There's
I think
definitely
he's going to
a
let
lot
it loose
left
more.
to be desired for sure.
Look, Brian Kelly knows. I mean, 3 people asked him questions about it today in the press conference about passing and receiving and Jaden letting it go and all that. Like, he knows they're going to address it this week. It most likely will be a point of emphasis this week of him getting rid of the ball, making the throws. The dude's an accurate thrower. Like, you go watch some of his highlights, the dude can make some throws. He's not the best short route thrower or whatever, but anyways, dude, make a throw. He just has to let it go. All right, guys, we appreciate all your input and all your comments, and it's been a great show. We're looking forward to this weekend. It's a big game. We will obviously be here on Friday night to cover that, but we're going to hit a quick break right before we're going to hit a quick break, and then we'll wrap the show up right after this.
Who that 5-star?
Make sure you go follow us on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook, all at Tigers Avenue, for daily updates on the show and all things LSU sports. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to click off and hit that subscribe button at Tigers Avenue. We broadcast all of our shows live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter.
All right, once again, we do appreciate all of y'all coming in and joining in the show. We love doing this. We love interacting with y'all. So every chance you get, come join in the show, get involved, comment, do some Tell Me TA. We love it. We really do, and we enjoy doing this. So we'll catch you on Friday as we preview the big game kicking off at 11 a.m. in Death Valley this weekend against the number 8 ranked Tennessee Volunteers. We'll cover that this coming Friday in the Tigers Avenue. We'll see you next time. 5-Star Hero, take us out. Peace.
Who that 5-star? Who that 5-star? And the LSU Tigers. Who that 5-star?